Thank you. Thank
Good
you.
Morning,
morning.
Brett.
Good
So
morning.
thank you. Thank you.
Morning.
All right. How are we doing?
Good.
All right.
It's a
Let's
typical Florida morning. It's bright and sunny out, and it poured here 3 minutes
yeah,
ago.
I saw a sign this morning I posted that said last Monday's more summer or something like that. I was like, all right. Um, Luke has made some updates to the real estate stats. I wanted to show you real quick. So when you get on the home page, you can click on Florida here, and then you can drill it down to counties or property type, but it's a whole snapshot. So like what's happening in prices in all three counties. If I went one county at a time, it'll adjust. It'll show you prices, what's going on with activities, what's going on with supply, what's going on with pace, and then what's going on with price reduction. So just a quick, easy snapshot that everybody can get to, but we go through the weekly stats on this call. So let's jump in. So Broward County single family. We have 723 active stats change. So Richard Bass, we were talking about inventory and how inventory in 2025, the word was glut, meaning there was a stupid amount of new listings that came on the market. And inventory is kind of becoming the thing for 2026, not as in a lot of inventory, but it's really kind of driving our market. What do you think about that? And when we're looking at these numbers, how do these numbers kind of translate into how we should be thinking?
And I think we're as we had talked last week, we're in very much of a balanced market right now. And it's balancing in part because inventory has been tightening over what it was last year. We're seeing slight increases in pendings or in closed sales, which this week they dropped back down again. But as the trend, we're seeing them running above last year's lines.
Yeah.
So it is improving. However, it's going back to being a totally balanced market.
Yep. All right. So Broward County single family, let's just hit the numbers and kind of fact check our storyline, right? Less active status, 723. We did put a lot of property under contract last week, 176, which for the most part is a pretty good number, wouldn't you say? For Broward County single family, comparatively, we have 113 pending, which is kind of low, right? We were in the 130, 140. We had a couple 150s. 113 is the lowest we've seen in a while. We got 199 that closed out in the last 7 days, which is a low number too. So maybe a little bit of a lull, but remember, July was a lull for activity, meaning we saw the drop off in properties going under contract in the month of July. So you're going to feel the effects of that in the month of August because most things close 30 days later, right? So just food for thought. If I go back 30 days, early July, we were putting 175, 185 properties under contract, which was down from the 200s. And then you're seeing 135, 147 in the pendings. So those closing numbers are happening now, right? And then whatever we're seeing today is going to show up in September. So I'm not reporting good things here because 113 pendings is low, but 176 under contract is high. So maybe there's less cash transactions going on, Richard. What do you think?
Back
Which
to
is
school started.
ironic with the rates.
I mean, we can try and come up with excuses, reasons why all the numbers are happening when they are. First thing that comes to mind with the number of under contracts or pendings or even actives. Uh, Back to school started. So were people getting ready to get their kids back into school instead of putting their houses on the market or shopping for homes.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I believe if we were to go back historically, September has always been a relatively quiet month for closings. That's the result of the back to school. And then September,
Yeah.
you've got Jewish holidays, you've got, Labor Day, people back from vacations getting into the swing of things. You can come up with all kinds of reasons as to why it's happening. And as we said last week at the stats meeting, it doesn't change anything that we're supposed to be doing as professional realtors.
Yeah. Rick, I know you've got a comment on that. We did a Mojo Monday about intentionality, right?
Yeah, I mean, a 1 month doesn't dictate a trajectory change, although it could be an anomaly or it might not. That's why we do this. Ultimately, control the controllables. And if you haven't tuned into Mojo Monday, give it a listen. We had a pretty fun one yesterday talking about the
Today's Monday.
recency
Today's
bias.
Monday.
That's what I meant today. Recency bias.
Don't tell everybody we recorded on Sunday.
I wouldn't tell anybody that. Monday mornings are risky business if you're going to do
There you
live
go.
recordings.
All right.
Although we do two every Monday, industry updates.
There you go. All right, let's look condos real quick and I'll go a little faster. So 799 active inventory status, 105 very consistent in condos going under contract. 105 pending, 128 closings might have just been the last start of school week, right? Um there was a big week the week before. So maybe if you just average the two, it's pretty consistent, right? So that's Broward County condo, Miami-Dade, single family. You got 602 active listing status. 116 went under contract, which actually is okay, right? Like looks comparatively okay. 164 are pending, which is healthy for this segment, and 136 closings is a little low. It just looked like it was a low closing week across the board so far. That's Miami-Dade single family, Miami-Dade condo, 900 active status changes. That's a big number. A lot of condo inventory just popped the market in Miami-Dade. 82 went under contract. Yes, it's down from last week, but if you look comparatively, that's normal. So last week was just a big week of properties going under contract, Miami-Dade condo, and 137 pending is a big number for Miami-Dade condos. 123 closed, a little bit down, but they bounce around. 123 is probably pretty healthy. If I hit Palm Beach single family, we've got 655 active status. Still seeing that a little bit softer active status inventory. 200 under contract. I'm single family, right? Yeah. 200 under contract, which is strong. We were talking about this last week, Richard. Palm Beach single family is very strong. Pendings 91, and they had 251 close out this week. It is down, but last week was a little bit of a big week. So 251 is still a little bit off, but might have just been the week, right? And then to round us out, Palm Beach condo, 538 active status is healthy. 100 under contract is good. 63 pending is healthy, and 126 closings, a little bit soft, but I guess it was a soft week for closings. Richard, any final thoughts before we move forward?
No, the numbers are telling the story.
All right. The big thing right now is this mortgage spread. And the easiest way to explain the mortgage spread is there's a government controlled 10-year treasury rate. And the 10-year treasury rate historically is what mortgage rates are is directly related to as possible. And historically, there's about a 2% give or take spread between what the 10-year treasury and what the mortgage interest rates are. Over the last couple years, that spread got really large, to the tune of over 3%. And that meant the mortgage rates were high, but the treasury rates were consistent. Over the last year or so, the spread has got back down to normal, which is 2%. All that to say, that spread is keeping our rates below 7% right now. And in this article, it's saying that if we were operating with the spread of a year ago, our mortgage rates would already be over 7%. But because the spread is holding, it's keeping our rates below 7%. So in previous years, rates would have already been over 7% months ago with the 10-year yield at this level, and sales trends would easily be negative year over year. But mortgage spreads being closer to normal has really helped us in 2026. Let's take a look at why we should all hug a mortgage spread. He's funny. Anyway, all that to say is the mortgage industry has the ability to move the spread, yet they're holding the line on the historic spread, which is kind of a big friend to us right now. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I think they realize that over seven's not good for their industry and ours are interrelated.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they can't control the cost of money, and there's profit figures that have to show up.
Yep. So it's just something to be aware of. I think I don't see this changing anytime soon, but it's a little bit of a saving grace for us right now is that the lenders are holding the spread to a historic norm. And I think that's healthy.
Yep.
All right, second thing. Housing market spotlight. What's the national median price isn't telling you? Nearly 1 in 4 US metros show diverging pricing signals, revealing local market trends the national median can't miss. So if you look in here, there's two pricing signals. The overall active median reflects every home currently listed, regardless when it entered the market. The new listing median shows how sellers entering the market today are pricing their homes. So where it's selling and what the new listings coming on are pricing at are two different markets. So if you look here, four pricing patterns shaping US housing markets. 85 metropolitan have new listing median prices up, overall median prices down. 41 metro areas, the new listings are down, but the median price is up, meaning they're coming in a little bit softer on asking price, yet they're still selling healthy. 71 metros have raised the listing price, but then it's a depressed market, so they're selling much lower. And then 77 metros, both the listing median price and the median sales price are both down. How do we feel about our market? What do you think, Richard?
Well, I think they could have written this article a whole lot simpler
Yes,
in
me too.
just a headline that says real estate is a local business. That's right. I mean,
That's
this
a
is
fact.
simply telling you what we've all said. You know, look at this mix between all of the major metro areas and how, you you've got four totally different markets.
Yeah.
So, prices are still increasing in South Florida. Um, it would be interesting to look at it and see the difference here between overall markets and new listings. My
Yeah.
guess is they would both be showing a slight increase.
So in South Florida, our median prices have gone up.
Hmm.
And certain segments, we went over it in stats on Thursday last week have gone up dramatically. Some have gone up just ever so slightly. Yet the market as a whole is having about a 3% price appreciation right now. Now there's certain segments, as Richard mentioned, real estate's a local thing. There's certain segments like in the condo, I think it was Broward County condo, don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure they had some price decline. Um, but then the bookends of Miami-Dade and Palm Beach were very strong in the condo market, right? And then the single family market, uh, all is definitely having price appreciation. So we would be in one of the two on the left with, I'm sorry, one of the two on the top with median prices going up. The question is, are you bringing listings to the market lower priced, or are you still pushing prices as a listing agent in when you're bringing property to the market? What do you think?
Well, the question is have to or want to sell. And it sounds like buried in the data are people that could sell, but aren't necessarily in the have to department yet. And what it says it's missing or what data really is relevant or is the growth of days on market and then the number of price adjustments, which won't show up in the median data. The other thing it compares, it pull, I believe this is the one, there were a couple articles that were kind of in the same vein. And one of them talked about Milwaukee and Buffalo being on fire and their markets, crushing. And their average sales price or median sales price was under 300,000. So the affordability piece is what's playing to their favor. There's a bigger buyer pool that can afford a home under 300,000, which I'm guessing doesn't exist in a lot of the metro markets
Yeah,
in a
this that
neighborhood you
article.
might want.
Yeah, like Buffalo, Milwaukee.
I mean, if you're moving to Buffalo, the money goes a long way.
Yeah, who wants to live in Buffalo? I'm kidding.
There's
Question
a
is, why
reason.
would you
There's a
move to
reason there are a
Buffalo?
lot of Buffaloans living in Florida and Georgia. And if I'm misquoting the way what you'd call a Buffalo prior citizen, forgive me for the Buffaloans.
There you go. All right. Quick FYI. The if you this is out there, I just wanted to make sure you're aware. There was original commission NAR lawsuit was around the seller side of our business. Whether you were aware or not, there was a second lawsuit that was around the buyer side of our business. There was a couple companies, Remax and Keller Williams being one of them, that settled this lawsuit, and the court this week finally approved the settlement, which means as a Keller Williams agent, you are absolved from either seller or buyer commission lawsuits of the past. Not that I think anybody was in fear of it, but it's just kind of nice to get the rubber stamp that the court system has stamped it and approved it. So FYI on that. This one I
And
found.
this is
Go
kind of
ahead.
important, Brett. It just says Gary Keller and company's got our back because they can transcend to the brokerage level and to the agent, mega agent,
Yeah.
especially as a target. It's a big deal that they're clearing these out so that we're absolved of liability. Not every company, has capacity and motivation to do what they're doing.
100%. And they're not passing the cost on to the agent.
It's a phenomenal, important point.
Yeah, which I think is powerful. All right. This one I found interesting. I found this on Fox Business. Um, it said cash-strapped HOAs ramp up foreclosures against delinquent homeowners. I don't know that I've seen this in the marketplace yet, but I do think that there
Richard's shaking
is,
his head yes.
Yeah,
Richard
it
is.
is it is happening down here.
Yes, I
Okay.
agree.
Talk,
Mhm.
And I,
talk to me, Richard. You hit this one.
I'm seeing it on two different fronts for HOAs down here. Um, People aren't paying their association fees. Some associations are moving fairly quickly. Others, from what I'm reading, it can be 2 or 3 years of non-paid fees. Um, I mean, you're talking, $1 million home that hasn't paid, 30 or $40,000 worth of association fees. They're foreclosing on them. It's their only way that they can try and collect those fees. The other one is for maintenance type issues. They're getting more active, and they're putting liens onto homes that are not meeting the standards that the association's requiring of them.
Interesting. So what do you
But
think is gonna, do you think we're gonna see a flood of inventory, or do you think this is gonna
no,
motivate people to sell? What do you think is the result of this that we should know?
well, the entire foreclosure story, whether it's from associations or just your normal type banking foreclosures that we've always seen, is a strange situation right now because the average person has so much equity in their home. Unless they totally overpaid for it in the last couple of years, you've got a lot of equity, and people are going, yeah, I'll just stop paying and walk away from it. And they're walking away from what's ever left in that house. And that's up to us as realtors to have those conversations with people. You want to let the HOA take over your house and put you in, file foreclosure against you because you haven't paid your dues? Talk to a realtor, put your house on the market, and get out from under it with a clean credit rating. Because I don't think HOAs report to the credit reports.
I don't believe so.
Well, I would guess inside of an HOA, you do this once or twice in a community, word's going to get out. It's foolish not to pay your dues and fees. And I guess if someone's upside down and cash poor and there's equity, you're at risk. Like it's a real thing. And
It,
here's the thing that they don't really talk about is they can sell your house at market value. They can't just wholesale it for net negative, just what they owe. At the end of the day, what the integrity piece of the equation is they're supposed to sell for fair market, but who's to say what fair market is in a short, a quick sale scenario? They could send it to auction, and so your $500,000 house could sell for 300, and all they're really targeting is their net deficit and what you're owed as an HOA. And remember, there's still going to be first and second liens potentially already. Could be tax, could be obviously a first mortgage, maybe a second, but a little less common, but possible.
yep. And the associations aren't worried about the legal costs involved in doing any of this because whatever they're spending shows up in your budget next year and everybody pays for it.
That's a good point. But they back those fees out. Once it goes through foreclosure, they're able to tack on interest fees,
Yeah.
the cost to liquidate, realtor commissions.
Yep.
So how do we get in front of this?
Seems like a touch. Like you should send everybody who's in a condo, make sure you're paying your like a link to this or a version of the article and tell the story. Say it's if you're behind on payments, just know there's potential liability. Call me to discuss it.
There you go. All right. This job market is becoming a thing. And I think, right now, the Iran conflict, the price of oil is kind of driving the economics of our world. But the job market is starting to crack, if you will. And the data on this could become something that drives our market in the future. And the Federal Reserve, which prices the prime rate, which indirectly affects mortgage rates and the economy. And if you've lived in the last couple of years, you understood the effect of that because they kept raising the Federal Reserve rate to pull back inflation. That's really their lever to try to put pressure or release pressure on the economy. And there's about five big factors that go into their equation in whether they decide if they're going to raise the rate or lower the rate. Inflation's a big factor, but the job market is also one of the five top factors that the Fed looks at in whether they want to speed up the economy or slow down the economy. So if the job market or unemployment or employment, however you want to look at it, starts to get disrupted, it will become a talking point. It will become a factor in how the Fed responds to monetary policy. Um, The latest data showed an unexpected loss of payrolls last month as housing economists expect inflation headwinds and rate hikes at some point. Um, a resilient labor market may finally be bowing under the pressure of back and forth tariffs. The now 5 month long war against Iran and inflationary pressures on wages, reporting a decrease of 23,000 payrolls in July with a downward revisions of previous months. Most sectors lost jobs, which is not good. All eyes will be on the Federal Reserve ahead of the September meeting, as there's a new Federal Reserve chair, confronts a very different economy from the beginning of the year. It's just something to pay attention to that is this an AI factor? Is this a economic factor? It's probably a combination of all the above, right? I do think AI is going to be disruptive to the job market, period. Where that does it create new jobs? Does it reset the job market? It'll be interesting to say.
Yep. It I did a little digging, and this is kind of one of those getting out in front of it for the sake of a headline too. We did have we had negative growth, if you will, or losses in the job market in July, but January to June, we're still positive overall. The question is that a trend? And I think they're just paying attention to say, hey, when revising numbers and whatnot. But at the end of the day, we've averaged 75,000 jobs per month added in 2026, which is 50,000 more than in 2025. So it'll be interesting with the net and whether that's a trend or an anomaly in a 1 month blip. Interestingly, we lost 156,000 jobs in February of this year, but immediately garnered those back in some fashion. And then I think the better question is what sectors, like you mentioned, where are
Yeah,
jobs going away, and what's the true impact on the consumers in your database?
there you go. All right. Last but not least, this does not specifically name South Florida, but I thought it was an interesting uh, article. Five major housing markets have the most motivated sellers. Austin, San Antonio, and Tampa top the list for aggressive seller price cuts. And it goes through those five metropolitan areas. Austin, uh, Tampa's third, Dallas fourth, Denver, Colorado fifth. But down here at the bottom, it makes a statement that I thought, and we're not in the top 10, which is good. Um, but it says the rankings also illustrate how uneasy the housing slowdown has become. In Texas, Florida, and Colorado, expanding inventory and aggressive price reductions are placing more pressure on sellers. In much of the Northeast and parts of the Midwest, tighter supplies allowed sellers to resist deeper and more widespread cuts. Richard, I was thinking about our stats presentation last week and how it's the tale of the multiple markets, right? Like
Yep.
the single family homes that are priced right and positioned right are selling still very quickly and for good dollars. And then there's a second sector of those that are priced incorrectly. That is there a day of reckoning where they're going to have to do some serious price reductions?
Yeah. Yeah, as I had commented last week, when people ask me what's going on in real estate, and my comment is, it's pretty well the most fragmented or fractured market that I've ever seen. Yeah, every single segment is totally different from the other segments down here. And, when I see comments like this in the media, in Texas, Florida, and Colorado, expanding inventory and aggressive price reductions, I'm going, you're lumping an entire two of the three largest states in the country, and you're lumping them together into one comment, and how deceiving that is for everybody. We're seeing tightening inventory in South Florida. We're not seeing aggressive price reductions, with the exceptions of a very small sliver of condos. And yet somebody reads this article, and it's up to you guys to be able to explain to the people what's truly happening in the market.
There you go. All right. Happy Monday. August 10th. July stats are officially out. They will be on the real estate stats today. So go check them out.
Thank you, Brett. Have a
Hey,
great
real
day.
quick,
Thank you, Brett.
Thank
this
you.
afternoon,
Thank you.
this afternoon at 2 o'clock, there is a Zoom training on how to work the real estate stats website. Your office has
Ooh,
the
that's good.
details. We're going to send it out. Look for it. Luke's going to go all into the stats website and teach you how to use it. All right, guys.
Thanks.
See ya.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.